What is going on, guys? Coach Eric coming at you with some stretching today. So today we're going to start off with some hip openers. Most of our stuff today is going to be lower body related, just because we've been spending a lot of time sitting. That kind of hip socket, that femur's getting shoved up into that hip socket, can create some kind of low back stiffness, tightness, all that bad jazz we don't want. So we're going to start off working on that kind of half splits, like side splits. So for those of you who have a really hard time with this, what you guys can do is you guys can put your hands on the ground. So if you need to, you guys can put your hands on your ground, or if you need to even like maybe hold like a stool or like you can do this on a couch or a chair or anything, that's totally fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go pretty comfortably wide, like where I can feel a little bit of a stretch, but it's not killing me. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flex my quads and try and pull my legs towards the middle of my body for 5 seconds. And then I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna sink down a little bit lower. And don't do this with socks on. Definitely either do it with shoes or barefoot, because you don't want to slide into the half splits and accidentally do something you didn't want to. So same idea, flex for 5, chest nice and upright. I'm gonna sink down a little bit lower. Same thing, flex for 5, sink down a little bit lower. And then you can do the same thing from this position here. So I'm gonna flex my quads, kind of pull my butt up, pull my core nice and tight. Sink down a little bit lower. And same idea, flex, relax. And then lastly, we're just gonna hang out for about 30 seconds, no flexing. You guys can rock back and forth, work into some of those tight spots. As you guys can see, my arm got in a fight with a blackberry bush yesterday. I think it came out victorious. Alrighty guys, go ahead and come down from that. We're gonna go into a seated straddle, so legs out nice and wide. From here, I'm gonna try and focus on kind of pulling my hips underneath me, so I'm not like slouched like this with a rounded back. I'm trying to kind of pull my chest up and then pull my butt underneath me. And then from there, left arm goes up high, keeping that chest nice and tall. With this right hand, I'm gonna grab my shin. I'm gonna rotate that left hand over, pull, hold for about 3. I'm just lightly pulling to try and get that forward fold a little bit more. About 5 rotations on each side. Hold for like 3 to 5 seconds. If you want to, you can hold for longer, depending on how comfortable of a stretch this is for you. Okay, so we're gonna do 5 or so on the right, and then the same thing on the left. So right arm goes up nice and high. I've got that right hand, or left hand, on my left shin. I'm gonna pull, try and touch that toe. And then kind of as I warm up, maybe I hold for a little bit longer, kind of really feel that stretch. Alrighty guys, next stretch, one of my favorites. It's gonna be that nice deep lunge. So we're gonna start off making sure that our hips are nice and square, so I'm not facing this way or not facing that way. I'm not doing a split jerk. There's no toes going like this, just straight forward, guys. So from here, that back knee is gonna go down to the floor, right knee is gonna be right in line with my ankle. And then from there, what I'm gonna do is, if this stretch, if you guys can, it's like a Samson, right? If you guys can get into this position, pull the hip forward, this is pretty comfortable. What you guys can do as an added stretch is I'm gonna take this right hand right here, or your left hand, depending on what's easiest for you guys. I'm gonna take this right hand, I'm gonna grab my foot, I'm gonna put that left hand down, and kind of rotate so you guys can see me a little bit better. I'm gonna grab that left foot, and then I'm gonna kind of try and twist my body around here. You guys are gonna feel this stretch in your quad. We're gonna hang out here for about 30 seconds. Really, really feeling that stretch. Alrighty guys, and then same thing on the other side. Try and get a better angle so you guys can see me doing this properly. Alrighty guys, so same thing. I'm gonna get myself set up. I'm gonna go down nice and square, and then I'm gonna take this right hand, plop her down. Left hand grabs the back foot, and then we're gonna stretch in this position here. Alrighty guys, so after those two 30-second segments, we are gonna knock out some more hip stuff. So for those of you who are pretty comfortable in your seated forward fold, meaning toes out in front and I'm just leaning forward and grabbing, what you guys can do is you guys can try and fold those hands all the way over your toes. Or if you guys really struggle with this stretch, maybe grab a t-shirt, like take your t-shirt off, tie it around your feet so that you have something to kind of pull yourself with. You don't need to be super aggressive, but just so that you can get kind of more into that forward fold stretch. So for me, with forward fold, I actually struggle with it quite a bit. I can only get my hands to about my mid shins, and that's when I really start to feel the stretch. And in this stretch, it's totally okay for your back to be rounded. So don't worry about that back positioning. And you guys may feel the stretch in your low back too, and that's totally fine. So we're just gonna hang out here for about 45 seconds. Really work on your breathing, and every single big deep breath in. As you exhale, maybe try and scooch those fingers a little further forward. Alright, you guys, I'm gonna come out of that. And we're gonna finish off just to kind of lengthen up that back, especially our hips. It's gonna be like that scorpion stretch, but it's gonna be on your backside instead of your front. I'm gonna take this right knee, I'm gonna rotate that right knee over the left side, and I'm gonna feel this stretch. Throughout my low back, kind of radiating through my hip. And I'm not really trying to pull down, I'm just kind of resting the weight on my left hand on my right knee. Alrighty guys, same thing on the other side. Lift that knee up, grab here, rotate over. Alrighty guys, and then we're gonna spend some time laying down. We're gonna take this left knee right here, we're gonna pull it up towards our chest. We're gonna keep that right leg nice and straight. So I'm just gonna pull that knee towards my chest for about 5 seconds. I'm gonna relax for a second, and then maybe shift the angle. So maybe I'll pop it out a little bit, and really focus when you guys are doing this on keeping your hips on the ground. So do your best to keep yourself square, don't let your body like rotate. Just focus on kind of pushing that hip down and back, and then trying some different angles. So I'm gonna go out a little wider this time. I'm gonna pull back, same idea. For about 5, and then relax. And maybe even a little bit wider. Alrighty guys, and then same thing on the other side. Start straight, pull for about 5. Relax. And then same thing, I'm going to change the angle, go a little wider. Same idea, pull, 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 pull. And then maybe one more time, a little tiny bit wider. Alrighty guys, and the last thing we're going to do, now that we've got some kind of newfound hip motion in our hips, we're going to finish off again with that kind of side splits, side straddle, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to try and hold as deep as we can go. So you're guys are going to get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, maybe here's good, maybe a little bit lower than that. Can't get any lower than that. And then I want you guys to do your best without putting your hands on the floor to hold this position. You can either put your arms overhead, arms at your hips, arms at your chest, whatever you need to do to balance. We're gonna hold here for a whole minute. So Really just kind of working on stabilizing, and then when I'm in this position, I'll show you guys sideways so you guys can see too. I'm gonna do my best to keep my back nice and neutral. So I'm not doing this, right? I'm not hyperextending that low back. I'm kind of pulling my belly in and trying to keep my pelvis underneath my hips. So I'm gonna go back down into it. We're gonna hold for roughly a minute. If a minute's too hard for you guys, what you guys could always do is hold onto a chair, hold onto a stool or something, but I don't want you guys to put your hands down. Do your best to keep your hips up. And while I'm doing this, I'm actually squeezing my butt. So I'm squeezing my butt. I'm not really fully flexing my quads, but there's some tension in there. And you might kind of get the shakes in your legs. That's totally normal. This is going to be really good for helping stabilize your pelvis, your core, everything. Alrighty guys, slowly come down out of it, don't fall over. And that concludes our stretching for today. Miss you guys all a lot. And I'm hoping you guys are all staying on top of getting your stretching in every day and trying to get your wadding in a couple times a week at least at a minimum. I know all the coaches have been reaching out to people and just trying to help everybody stay in line with their goals, help them be accountable. If you guys are struggling with that in any way, feel free to reach out to any of the coaches. If you guys need help with modifications for movements, if you're having a really hard time, if you're like feel like you're really like weakening in a certain movement, like your strength and stuff like that, there's definitely lots of things that we can help you guys with in the meantime before we get back to the gym. So signing off for today, guys. Miss you all. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.